Number 3 in our countdown, the gossip column that could threaten one of the biggest news media empires ever built. First, some background. Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation controls Fox News, satellite channels, websites, and newspapers all over the world. He's made a fortune with red meat headlines, a right-wing agenda, and a good dose of naked women between the sheets of his newspapers, even though Murdoch has said that journalism carries special responsibilities. Well, isn't this special? A New York Post column last Friday confessing to a certain amount of, well, let's just call it accepting cash and goodies from people who got good coverage. Juicy details include the Post's editor partying at a strip club and a $1,000 payment from a restaurant owner. All this noted at a time when Murdoch is trying to buy Dow Jones and the Wall Street Journal for a staggering $5 billion, while promising that no sleaze would ever rub off on the traditional Bible of the business world. Filmmaker Robert Greenwald's documentary Outfoxed examined the Murdoch news empire, its power, and its fury. Thanks for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Robert, word is the admissions in this column were designed to head off even more serious allegations in a lawsuit. Now, the last time we checked, the Post editor is still in charge over there. How embarrassing is this for Murdoch?
Well, I think it's seriously embarrassing if it were you or I. Nothing seems to embarrass Murdoch or that eternal drive to squeeze every nickel out of every media outlet he owns. And it doesn't matter whether he puts naked women on the cover or if he drives to the bottom line with all of his newspapers supporting the war. It's just a consistent pattern we see over and over again. So I'd like to think that he would be embarrassed, but I'm not sure that that would be true in his case.
Murdoch's third wife, Wendy, was born in China and is said to be handling some of his business interests there. And there are allegations that he's ordered his media to go easy on the Chinese government. Who's making these allegations and how serious are they?
Well, it's a long pattern of his currying favor with the Chinese Communist government. He actually had a book contract canceled by one of his publishing companies because it was critical of the Chinese Communist government. He's pulled reporters off of stories, and this predates even his marriage. So we have seen this over the years. It's actually caused serious problems for him because of his desire to do whatever the Chinese government says in an effort, again, same thing, greed, profitability, doing whatever it takes, in this case, manipulating and using media to service the Chinese Communist government.
Last winter at the Davos Economic Forum, Murdoch was asked if his media shaped the agenda on Iraq, and he said, quote, "No, I don't think so, but we tried." Is he starting to pay a price for backing an unpopular policy?
I think so. I mean, the war, it wasn't, by the way, just that his newspapers and television backed the war. It was the vicious, terrible attack of many people, myself included, who resisted the war. And they tried to silence people. They really went against the basic tenets of democracy. And I think that's truly coming back to haunt him and haunt his many newspapers and the television stations that went along lockstep in trying to silence all criticism.
Now, given the track record and everything that you've just discussed, paint a picture for me. What if Murdoch gets Dow Jones and the Wall Street Journal? How long until they're tabloids, too?
Well, it won't be long. I mean, we know what happened in London with the Sun. He quickly turned it into a tabloid, and it was quickly from bikinis to topless women within the pages of the newspaper. He has made promises in the past. He then takes over newspapers, television stations, and immediately turns them into this double-barreled, deathly combination. It's hard right conservative politics, and it's taking it and taking news, which all of us in a democracy should care about and respect, and driving it down to its cheapest, tawdry level possible.
In fact, there was a column in the Financial Times the other day where they talked about the fact that apparently back in the 70s when he was buying the New York Post, that he wrote them a letter saying essentially what he said to the Bancroft family that owns the rights of Dow Jones, saying, "I'm not changing a thing, everything will stay the same." And, of course, we know what happened to the New York Post.
Yes, and again, we see this pattern over and over again. So if I'm the Bancroft family, I would be running in the other direction because, again, if you look at news, if you think it's important, if you value it in terms of its role in our country and our society, this is one of the terrible prices we pay for media monopolization. And he continues to do that and drives in this one clear direction. But we know what he's going to do. The evidence is there.
We should point out that as right-wing as he's been, he's also sponsored a fundraiser for Senator Hillary Clinton after building the Fox network on anti-Clinton attacks. Do you sense a turnabout here? What's that about?
I don't sense a turnabout. I see that he will create allies when he needs them for the moment. Remember, he has legislative agendas. He's always looking to have the rules bent in order to favor his media empire. And sometimes you do one fundraiser and get plenty in return. But day in and day out, we're monitoring Fox now. We've done a series of short videos, Fox Attacks, showing them how ruthless they are, and their position has not changed at all.
Robert Greenwald, documentary filmmaker, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.